272 and 8 cents. This is the price target of this ETF that I'm going to talk about. That's a 23.24 upside from the price it is today. And there's more. Let me show you. If you look at this ETF return since inception, it has returned about 319. And if we look at the annualized return since inception, has returned 62%. You can't get any better than that. That's very impressive. But in this video today, I'm going to show you there's another ETF issuer that has better ETFs that provide a better return than this one. So if you stick around, you're going to learn a lot from this video. Matthew Pamali asked, would buying 100K of NVDY be an intelligent or be a wise decision? So answering this question, I thought instead of me answering the question with my opinion, I have to pull up information and we look at NVDY itself and see what this ETF has to offer. This is going to be very interesting because I think going forward, what I'm going to do, if you ask a question and I feel like there's a need for me to answer that question in details, I would rather just make a video pulling more information about it. So make sure if you want to know anything and you want me to go into details, of course, if I have a time, I will go into details about the ETFs that you're asking or the question that you're going to ask. So today I'm going to answer this question differently than the way I've always answered questions, because I'm going to go into numbers. I'm going to show you very interesting things. And at the end of this video, I'm going to give you distributions update. What I want to do, the first thing, I'm going to go to Analyst. So I've shown you this before, right? So before buying any of these YieldMax ETFs or any other individual stock ETFs, we can always go to see what analysts are saying about that stock, or we can look at the metric of that stock numbers, right? So when it comes to these stocks, I'm not going to go into details. This is the NVDY, and you all know that this is a single stock ETF. So the underlying stock for NVDY is Nvidia. So we look at the Nvidia because Nvidia has get the run, right? It's not as much as AMD. So it still has room to grow. So if you look at the estimate of these analysts are saying that the price from the price it is today is going to be 272. So that's about 23 to 24% upside. That's consensus. So when I look at these numbers, this gives me confidence that if I buy NVDY today, because the underlying stock is projected to be going up, so there is a potential that my ETF will also go up, because all analysts, according to this website, are very bullish about this stock. So I usually don't just go with the analyst numbers. I also have to go back to see the performance of this stock itself, how it has done in the past. So if I pull up this information here, you can see the share price of NVDY has gone down by negative 27%. Dividend increase is negative 83%. And this is because NVDY used to be one of the top paying ETF from YieldMax, but of course they decreased their distributions. So if we compare, this number is always comparing between the time they used to pay when it came out to the numbers they have right now. So you can see it has decreased. It doesn't pay huge as it used to, right? But I'm going to show you how much they've been paying. It's a pretty impressive though. It's over 50%. Now, if we look at the total return as shown you earlier from YieldMax website, it has return over 348%. This is with a drip, meaning if you're dripping, you reinvest all your distributions. This is how much you have gained from the time it came out. And you can see here it has gone pretty good with a drip, with no drip. So now if we come back to official YieldMax website, as I've shown you earlier, return is at 318. That's since inception cumulative, including all the distributions. Annualized return is 61.83%. That's a huge return. A distribution rate based on the last distribution they paid is a 50%. That's huge. But we know distributions change every time they pay. So what you can do, you can take all these distributions for, let's say, about a year, add them together and divide by how many months or weeks that you are calculating. And you're going to get the average distributions. And you can take the average of how much you are going to get, and that divide by your amount of your investment or your capital. And that will give you the accurate yield and accurate prediction of how much you're getting to get every month. So in short, if you want to invest $100,000 right now in Nvidia, based on those metrics I've shown you, first of all, I wouldn't put all 100,000 in just one income ETF, especially NVDY from YieldMax, because we never know what's going to happen with Nvidia stock itself. And the second thing, I would do more research. And if you're confident that Nvidia will keep going up, then I would say it's safer to invest because it does pay good distributions. And the return has been good, as I've shown you here. So that's what I would do. But the main important thing is to do your research and make sure you are confident with the stock itself. But regardless, I wouldn't put all $100,000 in just one stock. Maybe I'll put $20,000, right? Or maybe $10,000. Depends on how much you have in total in your investment portfolio and how much comfort you have with this particular stock itself. So that's my honest answer for this question number one. So Matthew, thank you very much for your question. It was a great question. So now let's move to question number two. To answer this question number two, I pull up this very important information. I'm going to show you here in a moment. But before showing you all this information, let's read the question. So this is a question. It came from World Peace 2030. This person says, I say YieldMax has to know that people are sick and tired of the NAV erosion on your ETF. I don't know how you allow that change your method. Do what Neo does. Don't promise more than you can master. So what he's trying to say here is telling YieldMax, why don't you do something different like what Neo does? To answer this question, I pull up information on a similar ETF on the NASDAQ. So I want to compare these two ETFs and see who is ahead of the game. First, I want to see is return year to date from January to now. The winner here is QQI at around 5%, and QDTY, this is from YieldMax, is negative 3%. So now when you look at this, you're saying, of course, QQI is winning because it has returned 5%. Here you're negative 2%. This website does not include all the distributions, by the way. So we're going to look at another website to compare. Let's do 1 year and we can see it's 12%, and this is almost flat. And other NASDAQ ETF, QLDY, has returned within 1 year 10.29. You can see here YieldMax is behind. So the winner here is the NEOS ETF. But one thing you have to understand is that these YieldMax ETFs go down in price, but when you add all the distributions, then they might just be even. And I'm going to show you. So if we look here, left hand is YieldMax, right hand is NEOS. Total return is 22.4 and 24.4%. So yes, YieldMax has lagged behind in terms of its price, but when you add all the distributions, they are pretty close. So this is something that you really need to pay attention because each ETF issuers has different strategies, right? For example, NEOS, YieldMax, and Roundhill, they all do different things. But in the end, it's up to you as an investor to decide which ETF you want to buy. You want to preserve your capital. You don't care about much of distributions, or do you want to get more distributions and you don't care about your principal going down? Those are the kind of things you have to look before investing in these ETFs. In general, I would say NEOS ETFs are pretty good. They're well designed, but the only thing about NEOS is that their yield are not as huge as YieldMax's, right? So that's something you have to understand. For example, you can see here SPY, the yield is only 12%, but this is a pretty good ETF, has good return. And they have other ETFs, QQI, that's the one I just showed you, WMI, right? And they have more. If we go here, they have BTCI. All of these ETFs have very lower distribution rate as compared to YieldMax. The last update is YieldMax Group 1. Record date is May 13 and payment will be May 14. And this is how much they're going to pay. I know I'm just scrolling and you can just look how much they're going to pay. Lifty, Mini, QDTY, RDTY, SDTY, Salty, OT, 40 cents, YMAG, YMAX. And return of capital, they have 100%, they have 0 for some ETFs. The other distribution update is from Roundhill. Ex-date is May 13 and payment is May 14. These are for their few ETFs: Roundhill S&P 500, Target 10, TPay, XPay, YBTC, YETH, Bitcoin, and this is Ethereum. They're going to pay 42.90 15 cents and 9 cents. Guys, that's all I have for today. If you really like this video and you find any value, please smash the like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please make sure you do that because you don't want to miss any of this important update. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next video. Bye bye.